Okay. Welcome, everybody, to Astrology Unplugged. I'm Rick DiClemente, and you're on with starself.com out of Pittsburgh area. And tonight we've been doing some things differently in astrology, and we're going to continue it because it just feels right and it's kind of working. I'm working on doing a regular reading for somebody as if they were with me privately, maybe a little differently. But what's happening is people are being sent to us, and they're being released. And I'm not being jive with you. People are coming at times. The major planets are really stirring up big time right now, big time. And so many people are coming and they're being released from their junk, from their chains, from their shackles. And we've done 2 or 3, and we're going to continue. There are some other subjects I want to talk about, which we'll get to. One of the things I wanted to mention to you, I like to make notes during the week when I don't see you about things that are significant. I'm always listening very closely to the words people use and the phrases, because a lot of times we're saying things that have a much deeper meaning than what we even think about. And the phrase I came up this week that I've been hearing, it's got a life of its own. It's an incredible phrase. If you think about it a lot, it's got a life of its own. I've been writing songs lately. I've been playing guitar for 40 years, and I'm very average, but I've never written songs. I've been writing a couple of little ones. And I've even experienced it with some of the little ones I've written, that I start down the A road and the song ends up on the B road. It's just got a life of its own. So I was thinking about that phrase. What does that phrase mean? And I'm always using this phrase to come back to what you are, hints that are being delivered to us that are showing us that we're much more than just this individual. So when I'm playing a song, when I'm writing a song, what happens if I don't go with the road? It's going to go, it has a life of its own. What happens if I don't follow it? What happens? What happens if I do? To me, it's very clear that what's happening is somebody else is the author. And when we say it's got a life of its own, we're just getting a little bit removed from the ego that we're so tightly wrapped in. Anyhow, when you hear that phrase, I think you should give it some thought. Hi, Peter. Good to have you with us tonight. Okay, I wanted to mention something which is really intriguing to us astrologers. What have I been telling you for the last 2 years? I've been telling you I've done 5 shows on it. Eris. I've been telling you about Eris. And still the astrologers don't want to follow her. I'm not sure why. I've got some guesses, but she has to prove herself first. And she's certainly proven herself to me. But I was thinking, if you look at the news now, what's the big thing in the news? One of the real big things in the news is this jerk Nasser and how he abused these gymnasts, including many of the female Olympic team. And he abused them sexually. He went to prison for life. But you see, that's what's missing in this culture. Nasser's the news. Way in the background is the planet Eris. When in actuality, Eris should be right there and Nasser should be in the background. Because that's how big a deal this Eris is squaring Pluto. It's just unbelievable. Look at this thing with these poor gymnasts. What are they saying? They're saying, we ain't leaving. We've been wronged. We're demanding action. This is the voice of Eris. This is not the voice of Pluto. This is the voice of Eris. Now, Eris works through disruption. That's obvious to see. But you see how far out we are, far away from the truth, that Nasser's up front and Eris is in the background. We're unknown completely. And it should be reversed. We'll get there. Someday we'll get there. And people will realize the power of these planets and what they do, what they insinuate. Another thing I want to mention to you before we get started. I was in a spiritual group this morning talking about this and that. And I really want to bring this up because what have I discovered in this class? I've discovered that none of us are full of sin. We're all sinless. We're all fine the way we are. There aren't no pearly gates to worry about, and we can just relax. And I go to this group, and they're very well-meaning people, and they're really nice people, and very smart. And everywhere in the group, it's like this. Everybody's thinking about the next 100,000 lifetimes they got to take. And now they got to do their exercises right. They do their yoga right and study, work. And we've got this new age thing that we've all got to work so hard at all this stuff. Well, what are we working for? We're working to get to the state of the Buddha. You don't see any statues of the Buddha going, he's relaxed. So the point I'm making is, I told the group, I appreciate their emphasis and the work, and I understand the work that needs to be done, but I ain't going there. I'm not going there. I'm not going into this thought process again since 1974 I've been struggling with. There's all this stuff I got to do. I don't believe it. I'm not going to believe it. So what I really liked about today was I really understood there are two worlds. There's the real epic spiritual consciousness, cosmic consciousness, enlightenment that seems to be far-fetched, far out to get to. Then there's the personal. And you can't live the life without an ego somewhere to walk you down the street. So I guess I'm saying, let's keep the two worlds in balance. The one that's a daily life, let's get it to be easy where we're chilled and we're seen as fine as we are. And then you can have all the respect and reverence you want for the holy paths, because I think they're both there. But I saw so many people that were so miserable. And that's bringing me up to my final point today. The planets are kicking ass now. They're kicking ass now. Look around, talk to people. People are dying. It's because of the exact square of Pluto and Aries. And what's happening, I've talked about it so much the last few months, is deep stuff's coming out. Deep cultural stuff is coming out. It's coming out. And the main thing to tell everybody is you're not alone. You're not alone. You're having to face old issues that have been ignored. You're having to face old issues that have been ignored, and they need process now. They need attention now. And it's just like with all the planets. You don't have to be a miracle worker with them. There comes a green-eyed cat. She's back again, Lillian. But anyhow, I thought that was really good to separate the two things, because we all get on different kinds of paths, and they can be quite trying, but I think we have to watch it so we don't get to the place where we feel so inadequate, or I can't do it, or it's inachievable, it's beyond me. It's not. So I think it's something. Susan on a chicken ranch just entered the room, huh? So she's traveling. Last time she was in Washington. She's out of Cleveland. She's our local medium from Cleveland, and she's on a chicken ranch somewhere. So let's bring her into the fold. Susan, what are you doing on the chicken ranch? You're near Oregon somewhere? Where are you? You're muted, number one. Okay.
I'm on Whidbey Island.
Whidbey Island.
Whidbey. So it is just off of Seattle, off the coast from Seattle.
You're having a good time. Are you keeping a diary?
Yeah, more or less. I mean, I post on.
That means no, but it's okay. All right. Stay tuned. You're going to enjoy tonight. We're going to dig into Ray's chart. Welcome, Ray, and welcome, Peter, tonight. And Ray, I've done your chart lots of different times in different pieces, but we're going to get down on it tonight. Now, I want to remind you folks, I don't have anything to do with picking whose chart's being done. You got to get out of this thought that I can do things. Because I can't do anything. It just happens. Everything just happens. And Ray's chart has been selected for us tonight. She's an Aquarian. We've looked at her chart many times in this class in pieces. Here's her chart again. We're going to take our time and get into it while Susan counts her chickens. Okay? All right. So the first thing we notice with Ray is she is a 8th house Aquarian. She's got Cancer rising 6 degrees. And she's got a moon in Taurus. These are really good things because you've got a place for the Aquarian. Aquarians are so obsessive, they get into stuff. And in the 8th house, that's really a nice place to dig deep into life's mysteries, et cetera, et cetera. She got her moon in the best place possible in Taurus, so that gives her a lot of stability, which is really good. But what it does do, it adds stubbornness to this chart. She's got 3 stubborn planets along with a 4th. So one of the issues Ray has to deal with is one of her strengths is her persistence, and one of her problems is her persistence. She just has to deal with it. Not knowing when to give up. Okay, that's the problem with Taurus. The moon in Taurus is very well grounded. I like it in almost every chart. She's got Saturn rising, and boy, that adds to the fixedness of this moon in Taurus. She's got the sign of Cancer rising. So I really like this because Aquarians need help. They need help being emotional because Aquarians are very intellectual and they need something to open up their heart and open up their feelings. These people have big hearts, but they're usually rather cool about it, cool and intellectual. All right, so the moon in Taurus exalts that moon and brings out a lot of feeling there. The Cancer rising brings up more emotion. And the Saturn I've told you before, the Saturn in Cancer rising sticks out like a big sore thumb. So that's what this whole chart's about. We don't know why yet, but the Saturn in Cancer is really a big deal in this chart. Now, so we see Jupiter is lovely, wonderful in Pisces near the midheaven, near the Pisces midheaven. More water, more water. Okay, so we know Ray is not a typical austere, mental type of Aquarian. She's a more of a completely well-rounded person because she's got the real brainiac of Aquarius. And she's got the Jupiter in Pisces. She's got the Cancer rising. And also, take a look a little deeper. This sun in Aquarius in the 8th house. The 8th house is like digging into the occult. It's digging into the psychology, behind the scenes. So this gives her a scorpionic flavor. So she's got Scorpion flavors. She's got Cancer flavors. She's got Pisces flavors. All 3 water signs. So she's got plenty of water in her chart. Now, the moon is strong, and the moon is lightly aspected by a square to Venus and Mercury, which is no big deal. She's got the Venus and Mercury in Aquarius, which means she's really friendly, likes meeting people. In the 9th house, this is almost a promise that she will travel overseas and meet all kinds of people of all kinds of different nationalities. She's just really good for that. And I've watched a lot of people on Facebook who are Aquarian. It's real interesting to look at their bio. Lived in Sri Lanka, lived in Cuba, lived in Argentina. These folks don't see these things as a problem. They get up and they go. You talk with locals, like from my hometown, and my God, you're going to drive to Pittsburgh? What do you mean you're going to drive to Pittsburgh? Got to go all the way to Pittsburgh? 60 miles. These people pick up and go to Lima. They live here for a couple of years, learn a new language. And it's one of the gifts of the zodiac. If anybody's gifted in the zodiac, it is Aquarians. Now, Pisces is very gifted, but it's hard for them to do anything with anything. It's just so hard because they're so hard on themselves. It's very difficult to be a Pisces. Aquarians are really a slick sign. They're the 11th sign out of 12. They don't have the personal hangups that other signs have in general. They can be alone for a long bit of time. They can go to a museum, have a good time all day by themselves. They're just very gifted, and I think a lot of them take life for granted. I really do. They're usually really nice people, but I don't think they really have an idea how unencumbered they are. Other signs, Scorpio, Capricorn, Virgos, people have encumbrance from all kind of issues in their mind. Aquarius is very much about, I'm going to get up and go and have fun and go explore this wonderful planet. So it's not all picnic. Don't get me wrong. Let's look deeper. All right. So we look up here, and I think this is really neat. And I've seen a lot of this lately. Remember, Eris has been in Aries since 1921. So anybody that's 100 years old or younger has Eris in Aries. It's got another 20 years to go. So it moves very slowly. It's gone from 12 to about 24 right now. She's born with it next to she's born with it next to
Chiron.
Next to Chiron. Okay. Chiron is a symbol. Chiron is a symbol of the wounded healer, not being recognized for my independence. So you got the ultimate thing that Aquarius is gifted with, being the ultimate pain in this chart. Aquarians are so proud and necessarily so about their individuality, but yet her wounded healer is sitting in the middle of Aries. So this is an indication of some sort. We don't know what it means. We find out more about it at age 51. The Chiron in Aries is an indication that for some reason she's not really recognized as the individual that she really is. Now, what is your age now?
46.
Okay. When you get to age 51 and that Chiron returns, what will happen? You'll have either tribulations that make the whole pain worse, or more likely, things that happen that release you and you start to become free of it. So Chiron returns are very, very big deal. Chiron's a much, much more important planet than we even think about it. And what will happen usually with Chiron is you'll learn that the reason you weren't recognized as an individual is because you didn't recognize yourself as an individual. That's usually what happens. My little generation has Chiron and Capricorn, which is a little different. And they're all a little bit different. Chiron's a pretty strange planet. But we see two very strong Aries planets up at the top of the chart. Okay, so what we see here, two planets absolutely, three planets absolutely insisting on individuality and freedom. Three Aquarian planets that absolutely insist on individuality and freedom. And I'll bet you, Ray, people trying to talk you out of your freedom don't do very well, do they?
Correct.
Okay. And we got a nearly angular, still 6 degrees away. We got a very strong Mars in Capricorn, exalted down in the 6th house. So you're a hard worker, got a strong sense of service. But the dynamic part of this chart is these Aries planets are sitting opposite this Pluto, making a T-square to Saturn. What does that mean? This is not Jupiter. This ain't Venus. This is Saturn. Now, usually when you have a T-square, the two planets exchange their energy. They ping pong the energy. They send the energy to the third planet, which expresses it. So good planets on a T-square point are Jupiter, Mars, Mercury, even the moon, the sun. But when it goes to Saturn, Saturn's not going to express your energy from the fight you two are having. It becomes the opposite. Saturn becomes almost blocked. And I hate to use that word because I really think astrologers have got the wrong idea about Saturn. And I think that every time they think about Saturn being the planet of limitation, they need to turn it around and think about Saturn being the planet of making sure. The problem with Saturn is it's the part of your chart where you try too hard. It's the planet that makes sure. Give the job to the Capricorn. They're going to get the damn job done. You got a problem on Broadway backstage? We give the problem to Marcia. Marcia gets the job done, doesn't she? I don't care how she gets it done. Leave her alone. She'll get it done. She'll just get it done. Get out of her way. We're obsessed with that duty, responsibility, and that tendency to get it done. Unfortunately, we got a really bad rap in the zodiac known as being limiting. Some Capricorns can do that, some Capricorns do, and that's a different kind of issue. So back to the T-square, we see the ultimate difficulty with this chart is that Aries planets are, I'm going. Pluto's down here saying, kind of like, no, you're not. Oh, I'm going. Oh, no, you're not. I'm going out in the world. Oh, no, you're staying down there with the family. You got duty and responsibility. You owe the family. Yeah, but I'm going. Oh, yeah, but you owe the family. Something like that. I'm not going to try to put this in ink. I don't know enough yet. Okay? And the T-square goes to Saturn. So Saturn is really amplified in this chart. Saturn in Cancer is an excessive need to take care of the family, excessive need to take care of myself. Cancer energy, taking care of myself. So what's going on here? And I'm touching on this lightly because it's too big to try to paint the whole masterpiece here. These are dynamic planets. You think Aries wants to answer to Pluto, even though Mars is a sub-ruler of Scorpio? Don't care what it is. Aries doesn't want anything in the way. Just get out of my way. Okay, but we got a really dynamic power here. And it's all going to Saturn and Cancer. And I can guarantee you, we're going to go into your past lives now. There's some reason that you made this Saturn a major force in this natal chart. And it's retrograde. Now, when Saturn is a problem in a chart, it's common to suspect the father, to suspect that the father was remote or distant, but you didn't fuse with him. But when it's rising and it's retrograde, we know it's the father. Okay? So what happened with Dad? In your own words.
Not terribly emotional. I think he picked the wrong woman to be his wife.
What sign was your dad?
Sagittarius.
Okay, well, there are many types of Sagittarius.
Yeah.
So basically, how did you get along with Dad?
Intellectually pretty well. He wasn't very emotional.
Okay, how was he raised?
By an alcoholic parents.
I tell you what, if you read the word astrology and you read closely between each letter in the word astrology, alcohol's in there somewhere. It's just so damn prevalent in readings. It is so sad how prevalent it is. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, but of course, he's playing a role. He knew about this before you took the lifetime. He's playing the role. So what role did he play with you?
The strong family man, if you will.
Good.
He was an engineer for a major company for ages. Very stable.
Good.
Yeah.
And he was a Sag. Not all Sages are stable. Okay. We're not going to push this too far. Okay, we let that go. What sign was Mom?
Cancer.
Okay. What kind of cancer? Was she real motherly to you, or was she all concave within herself?
Within herself.
Okay. And kind of frozen and unable to give and afraid it's going to get hurt all the time. Right? Yeah. Cancer is a tough sign. I've spent the last 10 years since the book was written, I've spent more time on cancer studying and getting to know down deep what they're like. It's a very difficult stage. They're all tough. Cancer's a tough stage. Okay. So what I want to know, when I go to the past 12th harmonic, when I go to the past lives, I start by going to the natal chart and show me the weirdisms, the word I use. There's no weirdism. Even though this chart's pretty basic, but this is really unusual. This is very compact with meaning. This Aries pair opposite Pluto, T-squared to Saturn. What's going on? Secondly, notice we got a 2:52 birth time. So we know somebody's looking at the clock. We just don't know where the clock's right. All right. So the ascendant is 8 degrees, 7.5 degrees between the ascendant and Saturn. 7.5 degrees. So I would expect somewhere between 6.5 and 8.5, you had a major occurrence happen with your dad. Had to. Now, maybe you're not aware of it, but there had to be a major setback in terms of your dad getting hurt, your dad losing his job. Also, it can be things very much like something happened in the family and you had to grow up real quick and start mothering the other kids. Does this make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I think it was around that time that he stopped traveling internationally for his job, that he had to stay home to kind of look after things here. And I don't want to get too involved with
you go into whatever you want to and stay out of what you want. Now, what I want to say to you is it's usually very, very unusual that something positive came out of this. Usually Saturn kicks up its heels in a direction like this and something limiting came. In other words, when you throw the fluff of Saturn up in the air, everybody, when it lands, has to grow up. Everybody has to clean up their junk. Everybody has to earn money early. Money is tight. These types of things. Restrictions of life. Does this make sense?
A little bit. You know, it's funny. My internet connection is kind of.
It ain't funny. It ain't funny at all. You don't want to go there. You don't want to go where you don't want to go where we're going. And I don't blame you. That's what happens with internet connections. As soon as you get somebody you're comfortable with, the internet connection clears up. No problem at all. But we know something really significant happens at age 7. We don't need to, because this is personal reading, but really isn't. It is on the internet. All right, so let's go looking at the 12th harmonic to see this theme of the Aries opposite Pluto and the T-squared of Saturn in Cancer. What's it about? You and I have talked about this before. Okay, so I go into your 12th harmonic. Here it is, and this is the chart that I call the past. I call it your spiritual transcripts, because when you really start, 12 is the sign of Pisces. When you really start to examine the 12th harmonic, it's not about the world at all. It's not about the world. It's about the unworldly. It's about your attitude. What was it towards God? What were you taught about God? What was the dogma that you were fed? Okay, we don't know yet, but that's generally what's happening. Okay, we got Gemini rising. We got an Aries Sun, Mars, Uranus. So again, we see this hard-headed explorer, and we have no idea whether she does fine or whether she doesn't, but she's a hard-headed explorer. She's got 2 machetes out there chopping these weeds down, going to the woods. Okay, fine and dandy. What's opposite this? Moon in Libra. Well, this is a really strange place to put the moon. It's really good. I mean, the Aries planets really can use some Libra in there, but the moon in Libra is not going to support what these wild women want to do out with their machete. It's not going to support it because it's too tender and tactful. We don't know yet. We keep looking. We keep watching. What do we see at the bottom? Saturn in Virgo, retrograde, wrapped around the nadir. Saturn in Virgo, retrograde, wrapped around the nadir. There's no other interpretation than this. This is very clear of somewhere in your background, we don't know why, somebody who was really critical. You're staying home because you ain't doing things right. You're staying home because you ain't doing things right. I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it wrong. Now, you could be very well right. They could be wrong, but somehow, in matter of fact, they could be fine, but you see it this way. All that matters is in the past life, you felt at home to have not one shackle, but two. Big time shackles around your leg. Okay, we don't know why yet. Now, remember, this is all an overview of your spiritual attitudes. And this comes from somebody who was in a convent, or convent people taught you, or you were taught that you had to be so damn pure. Everything has to be so pure before you could even eat. You see what I'm saying? But look what we got here. Jupiter across from wild woman Uranus. Jupiter, 26 opposite wild man Uranus, T squared of Pluto. What the hell's that mean? Jupiter opposite Uranus, opposite Pluto. So you've got this chart where this is very confident. You're going out in the world and you're dealing with it. But down here, you've got this stay at home, whatever this Gestapo's about. Okay. You've got this tremendous capacity for exploration and freedom of the soul. This is Jimi Hendrix playing at all times while you're in the background. That's what made Hendrix so great, was his Jupiter Uranus. But it goes to Pluto. Now, when it goes to Pluto, what do you think that Pluto is going to be like? You think it's going to bring out the tame side of Pluto? Hell no. It brings out the explosive, powerful side of Pluto. Well, you got Jupiter, Uranus, Pluto. You got 3 Aries planets up there. These are really explosive planets, and thank God you got Saturn wrapped around your nadir. Even though it's a pain in the butt, that Saturn probably kept you from being locked up or from going insane or whatever. I don't know. These things, you have to be very careful how you analyze them, because there's a tendency to want to categorize them, and we don't want to categorize them. We want to get familiar with the flavor. So you got this flavor through all your lifetimes of being kind of, I'm going for it. Let's go. Let's get out and let's go deep. Let's get into it. Go deep, right? And then that Saturn and Virgo says, okay, but you bring that all home and wipe your shoes off before you get in the door. Bring it and put it under that back table before I chop it up. I mean, really interesting combination here of this really adventurous man or woman. So when we think in terms of God search, what this means is you're doing your God search. Maybe you're doing ayahuasca every other weekend. I don't know, but it's really intense. You're not holding back. And you bring it all to that Pluto, and that Pluto is really strong. It enhances and affirms all of the intense exploration that Jupiter, Uranus do. But then what's the Saturn and Virgo doing? What is it doing? So we don't know exactly, but what we can say is we know that Saturn in Virgo is what led to Saturn in Cancer rising in the birth chart. Now, I will tell you, in my experience, most 12th harmonics, people didn't do it right. They came close. They did it wrong. They came close. because it's really hard. Because if you go back to God, you're not going to have a birth chart. You're not going to incarnate again. That's where our mistake is. We keep thinking if we incarnate and fix this stuff, it's all going to be better. But there's no need to fix anything. So you come into this lifetime with this tremendous sense of great ability, but it's something ain't right. See, I'm just summarizing the feelings I've gotten so far. This great ability. I don't even want to talk to people about it because I don't want to get wound up in their worries and caution. I just want to go and do it. But something ain't right. Now, I'm going to stop right there. This is a mistake I make all the time. Too much blabbermouth. Okay. I want to hear from you, and I don't want personal, painful details, but I want you to continue on this painting that I've started for you over your past transcript.
Well, sure. I guess I've never doubted my ability or my tenacity because
Right.
I've held on, or gotten jobs done, or I've held on to relationships or friendships too long when I should probably have just
Moon and
left
Taurus.
or
Moon
found
and Taurus.
And but yeah, there's always been that adventurous side. I mean, I lived about 3 years. I was a French major in college, so I lived in France. Worked for the airlines for a bit, so I got to travel around quite a bit.
But when you think back, I know this is not easy. Think back to your earliest dream of your spiritual life. Think about it in terms of, I went for it, but it was never right. What does that mean? Something was always, I should put it this way, somebody or something was always critical of me. What does that mean?
Well, that was one of the functions of my father. He didn't want me to go to Northwestern University because that was too far away.
Where?
Northwestern.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was too far away.
That's not that far, Indiana.
Outside of Chicago, right?
Right.
But I could be a patron of the arts, but not an artist. Or not a performer or anything like that, or nothing to pursue a musical career. And boy, I never told them about, like, when I was kind of fell in love with tarot.
You're breaking up on me. You fell in love with a tarot?
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. That's a real good place to start. What did he say about it?
Well, he never knew about that. And neither did Mom, because it was just something that they couldn't relate to.
I understand. Now, with your mom's nature, did you have to
credence to, I guess.
I'm sorry? Yeah, we're getting a real bad feed here. Did you have to tiptoe around your mom all the time, make sure she wasn't upset?
Yes.
I could write a book about it. I might write a book about that. It's so prevalent, it's unbelievable. The cancer problem. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, what I'm telling you, just so far, even so far, we see a past life where you are a very adventurous soul. There is no room for any criticism here. You're just nothing to blame here. You're just an adventurous kind of Joan of Arc type of soul. You're going after it. Okay? But something in the real center core of you says, you're not doing this right. You're not doing this by the book. What are you doing? Are you sure? What does that mean to you?
Well, it explains where my perfectionism comes from.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
It explains where my perfectionism.
Yeah, remember, Virgo is a very pure sign. It cares a lot. Do you have any difficulty with stomach area?
Oh, yeah.
That's very common.
Yep, I was a colic baby.
Yeah.
And even to this day, I'll get nauseous when I get headaches and whatnot. So.
Okay, now, one of the ways that we can interpret the birth chart is by seeing what's happening to it now by transit. Okay, you don't have to figure it all, Miss Claudia. You don't have to figure it all out while you're reading. You can go do other things and come back to it. A lot of times when I'm stuck on a birth chart, I'll go do the return charts and come back to it. These charts are all interchangeable, but we know the basic theme. And I think the theme is pretty clear here. I think the theme is somewhere around you in one of these lifetimes or many of these lifetimes, they just said to you, well, by God, Ray, you can't be that free. You got to be more in a convent for a couple more years and pay your dues. There's something like that. Okay. And I'm not going to try to make it any clearer. I mean, I think it's something like that. So let's go back to the birth chart, take a look. We go back and forth. Okay, so we go back to the birth chart and we see that Jupiter in Pisces, which is such a beautiful symbol of being God-oriented and soul-oriented and spiritual-oriented. Remember, there is no earth plane. It's all just myth. It's all the spiritual plane. But we see this wonderful spiritual adventure and approach going on. But what is going on with the Pluto? What usually goes on with the Pluto when it's opposite to planets, excuse me. What usually goes on with it is this. These two planets are very light. They want to go have fun and travel and explore, period. Just to explore. Not with Pluto. Pluto says you got to mean something. You're going to go do something, do it with meaning, do it where you're affecting people, do it with purpose, do it with character. Okay? So Aries doesn't really understand that. Aries is really remote from Scorpio. So this kind of insinuation going on back and forth is intriguing because it all comes to Saturn, and Saturn's over there saying what? Don't worry, I'll take care of it. Don't worry, I'll take care of it. So we're going to start looking at what's happening now. What do you realize in yourself? I'm assuming there's a part of you that says, I'll take care of it all the time, when you wish it hadn't said that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, you're not a Capricorn like me and Marcia, but Capricorns cannot shake off the duty and responsibility. You can't, you're born with it. But we can't shake off this BS about, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it, I'll take care of it. I had a woman 2 days ago for a reading, and it was a wonderful reading. And she has taken care of her elderly mother for years, an Aries. And she couldn't get the Aries out. She couldn't have any fun, good adventure. So she turned around when Uranus hit her. Uranus hit something. And she said to her brothers and sisters, guess what? Here's mom. I'm not doing it. And she liberated herself. And when you do something like that, that can be the most important event in your life. When you dump that kind of emotional baggage, you're going to just get all kind of grace coming upon you. Okay, so I told you before, when we were looking at this, we're not really seeing anything happening with the Saturn, but Uranus is on the moon. So in your lifetime, Uranus is here. It's gone and it's squared itself around your age 21. That must have been wild, because you had Uranus square Uranus at the same time Uranus was crossing your sun. Woo! So then Uranus gets up here at age 42, and you have the midlife crisis. Now Uranus is going over that moon, and that moon is the ruler of the chart because it rules the sign of Cancer. Okay, so The number one thing Uranus on the moon means is the possibility of moving, the possibility of seeing where you live and where your den is not satisfactory because there's not enough air, not enough light. Uranus wants you breathing, light, big, seeing things. Okay? So Uranus has been back and forth over your moon this year. It's got another year. And remember, let's take a pause for a second and come back to this. I've noticed, and I've been telling you this the last couple of years, I've noticed this theme going on in the world, which is incredible in astrology, this constant Taurus Aquarius theme, this Uranus Taurus thing, this Uranus moon thing. So Uranus and the moon, in a lot of ways, are directly opposite. The moon wants you to rest and be safe and be cuddled and secure. And Uranus is, forget that stuff. Take it off. Let's just go swimming. Okay? So you have this dichotomy between these two. Now, your Uranus, because you're an Aquarian, and it's your Uranus that's traveling around, is having a talk with your moon. And your moon's been real happy being nice and settled in that couch for a long time, but not now. Not now. You're starting to see how the moon's what's the word? Sedentary. This sedentary nature of the moon is hurting you because what does Aquarius want? What does Uranus want? He wants to be free, wants elbow room. Let's go. So you're realizing that you're going to have to start risking. Now, let me have your response.
Absolutely. Well, I was, to tie it into what you had said before, I was the caregiver for my mom for years.
Right.
Too. Sold her house this summer. So I am starting to think about what other options might be available. They sell They sell €1 houses in Italy.
Oh, yeah. What's got your name on it? Okay, now let's get down to brass tacks here. What does your Uranus want to do with your moon? Your Uranus isn't coming by your moon and saying, hey, let's become unstable and unhappy. It's saying to it, you're nice and cozy and all that, but are you alive and vibrant? Are you alive and vibrant where I can do my thing? I got 3 planets in Aquarius. Are you alive and vibrant?
Not this summer.
And am I able to be myself?
Yeah.
Am I able to be myself? Okay, so when you tell me not this summer, I'm concerned. Why not?
Because it was such an ordeal to get the house on the market and get it all cleaned up and everything. But that's done now.
Oh,
so,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so where are you now?
Starting to learn how to breathe again.
Mm-hmm.
And
the moon always draws you back to family stuff and family karma, and so it's understandable why that happened. But other things the moon rules: your habits, your traditions, your daily habits, your emotional nature. And when Uranus hits it, it wants these things freed. It wants these things freed. I used to do a show in Pittsburgh on the radio, and I'd see Uranus hitting people's moons, and they would tell me, oh, we just knocked the ceiling down, put in a bunch of skylights. We just knocked the walls down, put in a bunch of big windows. Got great big drapes blowing in the air. So it's thematic. Okay? So you should be picking up this theme very strongly, is wanting to liberate from this safety of Saturn. Moon in Taurus. Since moon rules your whole chart, I think your whole chart's going through a massive revolution.
And I think you're right too. it feels different now that I have sold my parents' house and got rid of that.
Okay. So it feels different.
Yep.
You should be feeling liberated.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And we're seeing this Saturn is it's largely a bucket handle, isn't it? That's pretty much a bucket pattern. Very almost textbook with Saturn right here. Okay, now let's see what else is going on. Neptune has just gone over your Jupiter the past couple years, probably the last 3 or 4 years. So you probably have had a very major step forward with your spiritual knowledge.
I wish I would have. I think that I could have used that transit better. But that was something I kind of put on the shelf while I was taking care of things, if that makes sense.
Well, it does make sense, but I want to add to that. Don't be too quick to belittle what you got out of this, because Neptune going over Jupiter can be very subtle. And don't be surprised if you keep yearning profits from it for the next several years. Because sometimes Neptune has to go away. You have to get passive for a couple of years to even see what happened, because it's so cloudy. But I suggest to you there's a strong possibility that you've gained an awful lot of spiritual growth the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years over Neptune over the midheaven, Neptune over here, and Neptune square to itself. And did you notice? I didn't notice this till now. Your nadir and your midheaven are squared by Neptune. Neptune squares the nadir. Neptune squares the midheaven. What does that mean? The Neptune's in Sag of all things. All right, let's talk about what that means. You've got a natal Neptune square to the midheaven. All right, the midheaven is where I've been, where am I going? What's my past? What's calling me? Neptune's right there. And Neptune's saying, well, don't think about making any money. Don't think about getting physically fit or physically made with the Rolls Royces and all worldly stuff. Neptune squaring them both really wants you to have high aspirations spiritually. Now, I think you've got them. So it's just a question of what you're going to do with the Saturn. Because you need the Saturn. You can't move it out. You got to have it. But at the same time, it is too restrictive. So this is one of those weird cases where this Capricorn has to tell people to be careful not to be too careful. Isn't that weird? You got to be careful. Almost all advice from a Capricorn starts with be careful. Almost all sentences begin with be careful. Marsha, ask your daughter. Everything's be careful. Make sure. So you got to kind of make sure you're not too careful of all things. Isn't that funny? All right, let's switch over at 8:57. Let's switch over and thank the people who are tuning in and the ones tuning in by YouTube. So we see that Neptune is quiet at the moment. Uranus is on the moon. What's going to happen next? Uranus is going to get to 16, 17, 18, 19. What's it going to do then? Boing, 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 boing. It's going to square the Venus, Mercury in the ninth house. You're going overseas somewhere. Yes. She goes, yes. Mercury, Venus in the ninth. You're going over to study art. You're going over to study art or music. Or you're certainly going to be obsessed in the Uffizi Gallery, etc. Boy, she got a smile on her face. I can't tell because of the lighting, but I think that's a big smile. Yeah, the Venus and Mercury are going to come to life in your ninth house. So that's really good. You're not going to have any problem with that because they're already in Aquarius. So that's like painting a turquoise room, another flavor of turquoise. All right, that's the color for Aquarians. So you're going to find your mind really enlivening up. You're going to find a big time software update going on. Okay, just get out of the way and let them update your software. That's what's going on. It's going to be wild and crazy, but you're used to it. Your Saturn's not going to like it. Your Moon and Taurus is not going to like it, and they're going to have to just back off. Okay, finally, let's take a look at Saturn. You see what's happening, Claudia? Good. Good, good, good. You're keeping an eye on it. That's good. All right. Now, Saturn is at 7 of Aquarius. So it's in this range here. And while it's in your 8th house, common things that will happen in your 8th house are redoing your will, redoing your insurances, thinking about what you're going to leave behind, realizing that you're getting older. But it's very common to get a financial advisor, put out all your pluses and minuses on the table and let them relook at it because you're getting prepared to go overseas. Okay? All right. Now, what do you want to do overseas?
I want to buy a boat.
And where did Susan go? She's on a river in Canada. You want to buy a boat and put it where?
Around the Mediterranean.
Oh my God. Oh, it's so beautiful there. Do you see how the rest of us just talk about stuff and the Aquarians get up and do it? Oh, how marvelous. How marvelous. And while you're on that boat, what do you want to do?
Right.
Oh,
Fish.
Okay. What do you want to write about?
Oh, I journal a lot.
Okay.
I've got a couple of ideas for something, but
Let's take a look at your 3rd harmonic. This is the one that tells me what the book will be about. I don't use the 3rd harmonic very much, but now and then I do. The 3rd harmonic is very much a Gemini harmonic, and it's really good for telling me when the person will write and what the subject will be about. And we see Pluto in Libra near the top of the chart, and stuff around the midheaven is really, really important when you're looking at the 3rd harmonic. We don't see any angular planets really, Pluto and Neptune a little bit, but this does not surprise me with Venus and Mercury and Scorpio if you don't want to write some mystery novels about people. Make any sense?
interesting. There is one topic that I came up with, but it's not exactly a mystery, but it's more to do with money.
Okay. Big money?
Yeah. Well, historical trends, just a fiction novel, but.
Okay. All right. Well, when you start getting the itch to write, put your 3rd harmonic up and start looking at the trans to it, and you'll find some interesting stuff. You see a Saturn return is going on right now. There's a Saturn return happening in your 3rd harmonic, and it's opposite the moon.
Yep.
That's a current flavor that you have. Okay. I want to go to your 6th. All right. The 6th is the Destiny harmonic. It's the Joseph Campbell Hero's Journey harmonic. It tells me where you intend to go. A lot of times when I look at a birth chart and it seems stuck, which is the flavor of this month, although you don't seem stuck.
Just tired.
Okay, tired, and well, no wonder. Post-Saturnian times leave people tired. Yes, it just does. The 6th harmonic is really good to show. It's like an aptitude test almost. What you'd be good at. I hate to keep reminding everybody, but all the charts are spiritual charts. These charts are not about worldliness. They're all different perspectives, just like the diamond behind me. They're all different sides of the diamond of your spiritual journey. Now, the 6th harmonic usually is really accurate, and it shows what you should do, when you're going to do it, how you should do it. Now, we already know one thing about you. You're pre-Chiron return. So you can expect when age 51, a lot of these gears will start meshing more and more. Okay? But you can mesh before. I've seen it as early as 31. But let's look at the sixth harmonic and see what it says. All right. Here it is. Intriguing chart. Look at that. All right. Here's a sixth harmonic. Just like my birth chart. Sun opposite Uranus. Saturn opposite Eris. Not quite a T-square. Here's a T-square. Sun opposite Uranus. T-square to Jupiter in Capricorn. Look at Jupiter in Capricorn. Who wants a Jupiter in Capricorn? Huh? Who puts Jupiter in Capricorn? That means I'm going to go on a trip and I'm going to make sure everything's going to go right. Well, good luck. How do you do that? So Jupiter Capricorn people, it's a dichotomy because you got the real competing natures of Jupiter and Capricorn here, but nevertheless, it's there. And it means that you're a very careful planner. So when you're working, and we see the sign on the midheaven is Leo. That's really good. It's 10 degrees Leo. Well, what's right next to it? Chiron is in Leo. These two planets in Cancer. Now, you are not going to get a boat unless Neptune's doing something to you. It just ain't going to happen. Neptune is boats. Okay? So let's go back to your birth chart. All right. Where's Neptune? Neptune is in this area. It's just gone over Jupiter. It's only 5 degrees away. So it's very likely that you can get it. Also, as Neptune continues, 1, 11 Sag, 11 square, you're going to have a Neptune square to the ascendant coming up. So it's very likely that you'll get the boat. Back to the sixth harmonic. So what are you doing? You're not a typical Aquarian because when you have a Leo midheaven, usually Aquarians are based on going out and helping the world, especially environmental. But you have Leo at the midheaven. That's not helping the world. Leo energy, if you talk to Leos closely and personally, they'll shock you with this continual answer of they want to be creative. What did you just say? You want to write on the boat. Okay? You don't save the world directly, pulling every port. You're going to do it through writing. Okay? But Leo is about, and this is your destiny. You're destined to do this, to be expressive, to be talkative, to get on stage, to play an instrument, to write a book. So this is really good. We just have to get an idea of when this is going to happen. Okay, so back to the sixth harmonic. I always start with Pluto. Pluto's here. Saturn's at the nadir. Look at that. I'll tell you exactly when it's going to happen, when Saturn leaves the port. It's going to happen when it's going to be about a year from now. Saturn's going to go over that nadir, and when it leaves and goes past 1040 of Aquarius, we're going to throw some champagne your way. Okay? Now, if you want a closer date, let's do that. Saturn at the nadir. Let's give the dates. Wrong chart. Oh, dynamic there. Saturn at the nadir. Saturn fourth house. March 23rd. Oh, isn't that interesting? Sixth time. It's already started. You've already had 2 transits. March 23rd of this year, July 26th of this year. Your next one is December 19th. Wow. So I think there's a very good chance in December there's a very good chance in December you're going to be heading towards Alexandria. What do you put it? I've never seen her smile so big. What do you think?
I've never been to Egypt, if that's where you meant.
Well, you got to see the pyramids, right? Cairo. Well, I'm very confident with these harmonics. They're really good. They're really accurate, even though people don't believe in it. I think it's very likely. You've already had 2 passes of this. So that would mean the 2 passes you had March, you had one in March and then one recently. That's when you start getting this idea.
Indeed.
Right?
Yep.
Okay. Now,
March was when I was looking at the €1 houses in
Yeah.
Italy.
yeah.
And then
Yeah.
July was when, late July was when I put my childhood home on the market. So,
Okay. Well, things are very favorable since Saturn's not on you. I think things are very favorable. Now, one thing that has to happen as we near the end, we're not at the end yet. But one thing that has to happen to complete a reading is we need to start tying up what was stated in the 12th harmonic with what you're doing now. They're not unrelated. So this whole thing in the past life of being go get them, but something's wrong at home, go get them, but something ain't done right, is going to be resolved through these books. I think your character is going to display this story somehow.
okay.
I don't know exactly. You may want to get a regressive hypnotic regression. Good luck. Give it a try. Some people are good at it. Some people aren't.
Why do you recommend that?
Because look where you're going. You're going where all of us European Americans came from. Let's stop for a minute. Let's try something different. Watch this. Let's just see what happens here. We're going to go and we're going to click on this button. All right. All right, let me get the right map up here. The map of Europe. Oh, Europe, regional. Okay. Now let me repaint the screen. This is a map of where the planets went over Europe the moment you were born. This is astrocartography. This is a map of where the planets were when they went over these certain European countries. I'm starting with that. Okay, we see Western UK has several lines through it. And you have to go up here to figure out which line it is. It's the Jupiter Descendant line. So this probably means to me that you've had some very happy times here. That also, if you go there now, Southern Scotland or even Ireland would be a very happy place for you. Very good energies there with Jupiter and with the Descendant there. If we go over towards Athens, and you're over towards Egypt here, Athens, you got Ascendant and Pluto. In that area, you're very likely to discover past lives, old things, do old deep research. In the east of Greece, we see the Descendant and Venus. So all the Grecian Isles, very, very favorable. So out of this whole map, without a doubt, the most favorable areas are in the Ireland, Scotland area and in the Greece area.
Wow.
I'm not an expert at this, and there are people who are. It's not easy to do, but it is intriguing. Here comes Green-Eyed Lillian again. Green-Eyed Lillian. I don't know why she likes this show, but she does. What questions do you have, Ray?
Oof, I think I'm just absorbing right now. I think that we'll stop the Zoom and I'll have a bunch of questions.
Yeah, that's pretty common. Any questions by anybody else about this chart?
I just wanted to say that all of it is just so perfect how the moon right now is being influenced, her Uranus and her emotional freeing leads to this other stuff that's coming up, and it's just building blocks, but it's so cool to watch.
Did you hear what she said? I'm going to get a boat and I'm going to put it in the Mediterranean and I'm going to write. She
Yeah.
didn't say I'm going to go in the high rise. She didn't say I'm going to go live with my daughter.
Yeah.
He's going for it. An individual that wants to live her life out. That's the beauty of Aquarius. Next lifetime, I want to be an Aquarian. Everybody wants to be a Sag. I don't want to be a Sag. I don't want to be a Pisces. I certainly don't want to be a Scorpio. I'm going to be an Aquarian. I'm coming back as an Aquarian because they're never bored. They're never bored. They're almost always pleasant. They're the best friends in the zodiac. They're usually very tall. And if you're a woman, they have nice legs. They usually are. Forgive me for that, Claudia. I think you're right. The thing that surprises me at this moment of the reading is I don't think we have resolved yet, and it's just not time. I don't think we've resolved yet and gotten a clear enough picture of what the 12th harmonic means. I think it's there. It's nothing wrong. It's just not time to deal with it. But what we're seeing here is a lot of emotional freedom. Where is your mom now?
She's dead. She's
She
passed away.
passed on? She did? Yep. Oh, I didn't know she passed on. I'm sorry. Okay. And your dad's no longer with us?
Correct.
Brothers and sisters?
One brother.
Is he in Greece?
No, he's not. He's in Wisconsin too. So.
Okay, how many people are going to get a boat and live in the Mediterranean? How many people have even seen the Mediterranean? It's so unbelievably beautiful. Okay, very good. I'm going to go back to your chart here, and I want to finish up with a couple of things. Let's take your chart, and now that we're in the month of September, let's take a look. And you're in Wisconsin. Let's take a look. Are you in Eau Claire?
No, River Falls.
River.
Yep.
Falls. Okay, we're going to do the next solar return for you. Okay, here it is. This is your solar return for your next birthday. Okay?
Mhm.
This is January 21 of next year. Look at what planet is holding it all together. Why are you so lunar? Why does his moon follow you around like he's got a string on it? See that? Look at this bucket pattern. Opposite Jupiter. You know what that means? That means you're going to be in a boat rowing it in the Mediterranean. No, I don't know, but it's a beautiful aspect. The moon opposite Jupiter. You've got a grand trine of moon, Venus, and Uranus. God. All right, I'm not going to even talk about this one. Claudia, give it a stab here. You got a solar return based on the moon. And the moon is in a grand trine with Venus and Uranus. What's that mean for her next year?
God, that is the only thing I can think of is that it is good. It is good. It's very good. It's just perhaps maybe even a relationship. Oh, are you there? Did I lose you?
I think Rick is muted.
Oh, I don't know what's going on. It's delicious.
There it is.
It's really just delicious.
She said delicious. That's exactly right. I was muted. Moon,
Oh.
Uranus, Moon, Uranus, Venus. You got the two emotional planets trying to Uranus, your friend. And look at what's with Pluto. Pluto's Sun, Mercury. This is all at the nadir. Good old Saturn's back. This is about emotional freedom, of just becoming emotionally free after you've had Uranus go over your moon. So we know next year is about emotional freedom. And we come back and we got to turn this off. All right. And we come back and we look at this. What does that mean? What is Pluto next to the sun, all in the third house of the mind, with Mercury and Saturn near the bottom? So whatever we say here is this. Whatever you do, if you flip your charts upside down or flip your boat upside down, there's always going to be this tendency in your chart to make sure and be careful. Remember, half of an Aquarian is ruled by Saturn anyway. Aquarians are ruled by Uranus, but their old ruler was Saturn. So we see Saturn is sticking around, and Erica says you're going to be writing that book with a passion. I think she's exactly right. But I think the book is going to be really intriguing. And what I'm starting to pick up psychically is that boat's going to go to many places. I'm seeing you in the eastern half of the Mediterranean, but I don't know why I see you traveling around with it a good bit. Do you know anything? Is this going to be a motorboat or a sailboat?
Probably a sailboat.
Wow. Well, all I can say, once you're there, we need postcards from the Mediterranean. Do the astrology.
Gotta get there first. I gotta get there first.
Yeah, we need to keep up. You need a crew. I thought it said you need a cow. I got gotta get my glasses off. You need a crew. Yeah, where are you gonna pick up your crew? Right?
Italy, France.
Oh man, I love her attitude. What's the problem? We'll pick them up in Italy or France, whatever. Hey, you Italian guys. You ever see Italian guys in Italy? They are, Marsha, they are some good-looking people. They really are. They are some handsome people, the Italian men. They're all ski instructors, and they all cuss in Italian. And
so we're going to have Susan over there, you know, just basically exploring the world, and we're going to have Ray on the other side on the water, writing. Oh my gosh.
And you got to send in. If you don't send in postcards, then I'll leave you in the waiting room. Won't let you in the room here. Any final questions, Ray? I think it's been a good reading. It's not been a Instagram. That's good. It's not been a huge release like we saw in the first 2 weeks, but nevertheless, it's a release of different kind.
Yeah. It's been coming a long time coming.
Now, what do you think about your reading? What surprised you? What did you expect? What did you think was wrong? I've looked at my 12th harmonic too, and I haven't been able to get a good take on it myself, but it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
Very difficult.
And I thought that when you're being very specific about what I would write, that was very interesting.
Well, my whole question from the whole thing is, I want to know why Saturn in Virgo is on the nadir in the 12th harmonic. I want to know who that guy was, or who that gal was, who that thing was. It's there. It's very strong. It's very necessary. Now, remember what I said to you earlier, and chew this up a little bit. When I've done a lot of these I've noticed a couple of things. We analyze the 12th harmonic and we infer and inform the natal chart to the point of knowing exactly when we're going to die, when we're going to be born, what second, what city, with who. It's all stated ahead of time.
Wow.
Why do we do it? We do it because we think we got to fix all this stuff. And I told you about my meeting this morning. Everybody just like, and I ain't doing it anymore. If it's that hard, I'm not going. I'm just tired of it. I'm not going. And I think somehow in your past life, there were just a bunch of uptight people around you. I don't think it was you. Okay, it is okay, Becky. That's right. Becky says it is okay to just be. She's exactly right. Exactly right. And that's what I came to when I studied for a while. There's when the wisdom of Pisces comes into the reading. Yeah, exactly. So you could just dangle your feet out into that Mediterranean water and then just enjoy some of it, and don't send any pictures. We don't want any photographs on this show because we're all going to get jealous. Anyhow, it's been a very good reading. Next week, we will do Diane. She was kind enough to step to the side. We're going to do this for a while. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're getting a sense of what a deeper reading can do for you. I could bother her a lot more and pound on more stuff, but her reading has a way of just ending. It has a way of just capsulizing.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Oh, you are certainly welcome. Now, everybody, when you go out there in the world, remember the planets are very heavy, and listen to yourself. Don't get worried about listening to what other people say, especially on TV. People are getting goofy, beyond goofy. They were goofy. Don't take them too seriously. And I'll see you next week and we'll do more of this, okay? Great lesson today. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Shelby says bye.
Bye, Shelby.